Hi, I'm Judy Tyabji. Thank you very much for joining us today. Today, as many of you know, we finally end our series on the Constitution, and we didn't know that today's guest would be able to join us when we started that series. As you know, we began with the BC Minister. We also reviewed the Wilson paper and the Gibson paper. Today, we have with us Gilles Duceppe, who is the leader of the Bloc Québécois. He's an elected MP in the House of Commons. He's also someone who hasn't spent a lot of time in British Columbia, so we haven't had a chance to get to know him as well as we knew his predecessor. And as some of you remember, in 1994, when Lucien Bouchard came to BC, he had a pretty rough reception. Well, Gilles Duceppe, maybe he's a bit more charming, I don't know, a little more suave. His reception has not been so rough, but we're going to be talking to him today. We wanted to first give you some background on Monsieur Duceppe. So let's take a look. Gilles Duceppe took over the leadership of the Bloc Québécois from Lucien Bouchard and is becoming a familiar figure on the national news. He led the Bloc troops in the recent federal election campaign and is now traveling Western Canada to talk about Quebec's future role in Canada. BC TV's Mark Schneider caught up with Duceppe shortly after his first election to the House of Commons, and he provides an interesting look at the Bloc leader.
To create a new country, you can't sleep late. We caught Bloc Québécois MP Gilles Duceppe arriving at 7 a.m. To create a new country, you must be disciplined. Duceppe is disciplined. Gilles Duceppe was the first elected Blociste, the son of a famous Quebec actor, a unionist, activist, socialist, and hero. Now Duceppe is a force outside Quebec, with a plush Parliament Hill office. His assistant, a former Parti Québécois organizer with the improbable name of Bob. Why are you a separatist, then?
A sovereignist.
A separatist.
This is funny how English journalists and politicians are using words they don't simply understand. Well, could you tell me which doctrine's talking about separatism in international law, political science?
I think it comes from the fact that you would like Quebec to be separate.
Yeah, but we're sovereignists, and the real definition in political sciences, in international law...
You don't like this word separatist?
No, because I know that you're influencing people in Canada, and it's not good at all for democracy to try to frighten people, to use words that are scaring people.
But isn't it frightening what you propose?
Yeah, we're proposing the sovereignty of Quebec.
But you're proposing the breakup of Canada.
The real world is sovereignty.
Can't you understand why English Canadians are frightened by a proposal which could see their country destroyed?
That's one thing. That's one thing. But
isn't it frightening?
Yes,
and isn't that what you're proposing?
Yes.
Yes. So why shouldn't people be afraid? And of what you say.
I'm not saying that.
Oh, people should be afraid.
I'm not saying they should be afraid. I'm saying that I understand they're afraid. That's another thing. Because we have to explain what we want to do, and that won't be the first country to be divided. We're not saying that Canada's being is awful. We're not saying that. We're saying we just want that Quebec becomes a sovereign country. Period. So we don't have anything against Canada, but we deeply believe that the best solution both for Canada and Quebec is Quebec's sovereignty.
And when it comes to the recent decision to sing O Canada in our federal parliament, the Bloc leader had this comment.
Are you going to be singing O Canada when they sing it once a week in the House?
No, maybe I'll sing Take Me Out to the Ball Game after the 7th question.
And so, he joins us today. We'll be taking your calls, and I have a few questions for him myself. We'll be back after your calls, after a break, with your calls to this number.
Here comes Christmas, when wishes come true. I'm feeling romantic making thinking of you.
This Christmas, romance is in the air at Sears. Choose something from the Calvin Klein Fragrance Collection. Obsession, Eternity, Escape, or choose CKB or CK1. Fragrances shared by men and women.
It's your Christmas wish store. Come see the merry side of Sears.
Merry Christmas, baby. Should it treat me nice?
Hi, sweetie. How's LA? Yeah, they do bet there.
Yeah, the place is looking fine. Pretty empty, though. Any chance you could hop on a plane? Be here for Christmas? Yeah. Yeah, I missed you, too. There's someone at the door.
The owners of Big O Tires from Vancouver Island and Powell River demonstrate how important tires are when braking. For the ecstasy of all-season high performance without the agony of the price, it's Yokohama Avid H4 with Yokohama's 24-hour roadside assistance and road hazard protection plus. Also available, Yokohama Avid T4 with a 4-year, 100,000-kilometer tread warranty. Time for change? Big O Tires, a reputation you can ride on, and they'll stand in front of you.
Your telephone and Pacific Coast Savings MemberLink touch-tone phone banking. Put them together and you get 24-hour banking convenience. MemberLink gives you access to information on your accounts, lets you pay bills, and transfer funds from one account to another. And with MemberLink, you can access your account from any touch-tone phone. You can even use your cellular. MemberLink from Pacific Coast Savings. Touch-tone phone banking convenience 24 hours a day.
And today we have with us the leader of the Bloc Québécois. He is in British Columbia, the first time that the public has really had a chance to talk with him directly to find out what makes him tick and why is he pushing for sovereignty for Quebec when many of us would like to see Canada focusing on unity and maybe getting beyond the constitutional talks. I thank you for joining us.
It's a pleasure, man.
Okay, now I have to tell you that even though I might completely disagree with your opinion, you are an elected parliamentarian, so we will respect your right to voice it, okay? Now, I have been watching your comments so far. It seems like you believe that when you go back to the people of Quebec for a referendum on sovereignty, that they will say yes. Why do you believe that?
I deeply believe that because we've had two referendums, one back in 1980, then the Federalists proposed to change the country, Trudeau especially, and I have to say he changed it, but not the way we were expecting those changes. So. The 1982 Constitution was never signed by any Quebec government.
Yeah, but you're still taking your federal transfer payments.
Yeah, but we'll answer that after. We're giving money to Ottawa also. But so we didn't sign that 1982 Constitution.
But what makes you think that they would say yes to sovereignty?
Because there's no other solution. I think that's the best solution, not only for Quebec, but also for Canada. Instead of fighting each other, trying to, I don't think it's, the Quebecers have to decide what kind of country Canadian wants, and I don't think Canadians should decide what kind of country Quebec should be.
Okay,
well, we should accept that we're as two people, the Canadians, the Quebecers, having our own country and getting together in a new partnership.
Okay, well, I will let the callers talk to you about the two Canada concept, but as far as sovereignty, what are the issues that sovereignty will solve? I went to Quebec last summer, and there's poverty in the rural areas. There are people who are deeply Canadian and worried that sovereignty may be the only solution because they keep getting told that by people who are sovereigntists. I mean, but what is it going to solve? Are they going to have more money? Will they have a better health care plan, a better pension plan?
I think we'll have all our tools in our hands. It goes a lot better when you have all the tools in your hands to decide and to build your future. When you look at the situation in the 50s and the one we're living now in the 90s, in the 50s we're not discussing about a sovereign Quebec. Obviously, we're discussing about a sovereign Quebec now.
Okay, but you say that
look at the unemployment rate at that time. In Quebec, it was 77% higher than the one in Ontario in the 50s. It's now 28% higher. So it means it's less than it was.
So you think that because you've been pushing for some sort of self-determination that you've been able to get some of those tools? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, and we did that in the
Okay.
60s with the Quiet Revolution.
Well, but let me say that across Canada, if you went and talked to people in British Columbia and Alberta and all over the place, they are also saying, give us some of the tools.
That I know.
And we can do a better job than the federal government. So if the issues are the same, people worried about their children's education and poverty and unemployment, wouldn't it make more sense for you to join together with the other premiers and together say to Ottawa, you know what, we want to determine for ourselves how we solve these issues?
But we've been trying that quite a few
All
times.
by yourselves. Maybe you need some help.
We did that together in '64, the Fulton-Favreau Amendment. We've tried again in '71 with the Victoria Conference. We've tried with the referendum in '80. We've tried with the new constitution in '82. We've tried with the Maastricht Accord.
But all of these are constitutional
in
efforts.
'90.
You don't need a constitutional change
we need
to
that.
fix
We
these
need
problems.
to be recognized for what we are, and we deeply believe we're a people. Not better than Canadian, not worse, just different.
Now this is a bit hard to believe. Jacques Parizeau has made a lot of controversy because of his comments about the ethnic vote and money, okay? We live in British Columbia. I myself, I'm not white. There are many people from different parts of the world. And Canada has evolved.
My niece is a Chinese.
Okay, so can you accept that Canada has evolved beyond the two founding nations? We are a multiplicity, we are a multicultural
but I think
country,
still
including Quebec?
Yes, but no, I think that there's a big difference. When you look at English Canada, the rest of Canada, except Quebec, there's different people coming from different regions of the world, that I admit, but also I think there was English people living here before, and First Nations also. And what's cementing the Canadian society is certainly the English language.
No.
Come
on,
that's
not
very
no, it's beyond
element.
that. You are a
So,
Canadian.
Why
Canadian.
are we speaking English here? Because it is the common language in English.
And
Canada.
if we were in Chinatown, we would speak Chinese. And if we were in Little India, we would speak Punjabi.
But the common language in Parliament
and around the
business
world and on the internet and all these places, the world is moving forward. English is the common language of
that
choice.
I agree also.
Okay,
but the fact is, the most bilingual people in Canada are French also.
Unless you go to Vancouver. Then you
I
get
mean
a lot
French
of
and English.
Okay, well, I guess what I'm saying is I think the world is changing and English is the dominant language.
That's why we need a new.
That's
why we need a new partnership, a modern one, just like the one they have in Europe.
I see, and I think we actually agree we need a new partnership, which is the way to do it. Now we have a number of people who want to talk to you. Okay, we will start with Paul in Victoria. Hi, Paul.
Hi. I'd like to make a quick comment.
Okay.
Okay, as a Canadian, born and raised here in Victoria, I am proud to be Canadian, and I don't put any other Canadian down like a Chinese Canadian or a French person or a native. I'm partial native myself.
Right.
Okay, if anybody travels around the world and they ask to see your passport, it is a Canadian passport. It is not a BC passport or a Quebec passport or anywhere else. It's a Canadian passport.
Right.
Now, with that, we are treated with respect around the world. We are treated with dignity. We don't have that attitude that is given, I hate to say, to the Americans.
Right.
And, okay, a lot of people love Canada for what we have done around the world. Now, that's going to change. Now, this is a hypothetical situation. If Quebec separated, that would basically say they're almost traitors, or almost that's a treasonous act, because it has to be the consensus of all for something like that to happen. And two, with the language situation, the business language is English. I mean, even though there's a lot more Chinese people and a lot more other ethnic language majorities, English is the business language.
Right.
I'm not trying to be pushy or anything. I'm just saying these are the realistic facts, and if we cannot deal with them, we got to wake up.
Okay, well, thanks, Paul. And I think he's raised some important points. Sovereignty is not going to change. Are you a proud Canadian?
I'm not officially I'm a Canadian, but I feel like a proud Quebecers. I don't feel like being a Canadian.
If you don't get sovereignty, will you be proud to collect your Canadian pension?
First of all, we'll get sovereignty. That I know.
Yeah, I don't think so.
And that I know. And since the Canadians are very democratic people, I totally agree with what he said. I think that's why it'll be possible to build a new partnership. And it is, and I agree that the English language is the international language now. That doesn't stop people in Mexico to speak Spanish. It doesn't stop
you from speaking French.
That's
I
totally agree with that. That's why we'll have a French country in North America, having a new partnership with the rest of Canada being part of NAFTA, because it was due to Quebecers if today we have a free trade agreement.
You will have to renegotiate all your international agreements.
Just like you, because you won't be the same country.
Yeah, well, let's see. I don't
so
know.
we'll have to negotiate together then.
Well, you're way ahead of the rest of us if that's what you think. And we have Renee from Vancouver now. Hi, Renee.
Hi, I have two questions to ask Mr. Duceppe.
Hello.
One I'd like to ask, how can Quebecers accept over $1 billion yearly in equalization payments from the rest of the hardworking Canadian taxpayer and be so traitorous? And the second is, if there's another referendum, are they going to ask a straightforward, out-and-out question, do you want to separate from Canada with no benefits and not the mess they made of the referendum question last time when it would not have been... I don't want to go into it.
Okay, well, thank you, Renee. I think she's raised good points.
Starting with the second question, I think the question was clear. We asked a question saying, you want to become a sovereign country and at the same time offer a new partnership to Canada.
Well, that sounds like you want to have your cake and eat it too.
No. And I don't accept the fact that those who voted no understood the question and those who voted yes didn't understand the question. And as Jean Chrétien said on the eve of the referendum, the situation is very clear. If you vote yes, it means you're in a new country, you're not part of Canada. If you vote no, it means you stayed in Canada.
What will the question be next time?
When I heard Chrétien saying that, I said, well, if Jean Chrétien understood, a lot of people did understand.
Oh, that's okay. Now, don't even start with federal jokes. Okay, but what will the question be next time?
That was another question about...
No, but what will the question be next time on the referendum?
I don't know. We'll decide.
Will it be
decide
the
at
same?
the National Assembly. The National Assembly will decide that with the democratic debate, including the Sovereignist Party and the Federalist Party.
And the $1 billion in equalization payments.
Yes. Last year, we sent, $31 billion to Ottawa. In exchange, we received $30.4 billion in services, plus an $11 billion to pay the debt. It means to pay what Ottawa spent with our credit card in the past.
Do you know what we did here in BC? We sent roughly $20 billion to Ottawa and received back about $2.5 billion.
So,
you can see that we should be angrier than you.
The situation will be a lot better. You won't have to pay for us if you believe that.
As long as you stop collecting Canada pension and the medical.
We paid for that. We'll have our share.
We will continue this conversation after a break, and we'll take more of your calls. We're talking to Gilles Duceppe. He's here from Quebec.
Tyabji is brought to you in part by Metro Lexus Toyota, leaders in customer satisfaction.
There's a new kind of space travel, engineered for shipping non-hazardous liquids in a new form of energy-saving container. One that holds 5 times the volume of steel drums and takes 20% less shipping space. A corrugated container that is so efficient, it not only uses recycled fiber, it is recyclable, reusable, and biodegradable. Spacecraft. Another innovation by Macmillan Bladel, making the most of a renewable resource.
I like Twisty Food.
It's great. I love it because they have a good variety of health food products.
Glad Cling Wrap. It's easy to use. Glad makes excellent products. They're a good brand.
Scoop away cat litter. My cat's name is Spaz. He's a Siamese. He's got an attitude problem. I love to cuddle with Spaz.
The smiles in the aisle for you.
Vancouver Island's homegrown food store.
Thrifty Foods.
Hi.
Hi. Oh, how's the new addition to the family?
Oh, just beautiful. It's got ABS brakes, easier access than ever, side door impact beams, 40 standard safety features, and it's got a 5-star rating and front-end crash test.
And right now, Windstar comes with an all-star deal with our new 98 model at only $249 a month, but only at your BC Ford and Mercury dealer and only for a limited time.
And how about that gorgeous little baby?
He likes it too.
You're making a list, you're checking it twice. We got the right gift at just the right price. Do your list for less at the Bay.
Get the savings of the season during the Bay's Christmas Housewares Fair. Save $20 on the Tefal All Seasons Barbecue. Features non-stick coated grill and includes a mail-in offer for a bonus fry pan. Just $119.99. Find a lower advertised price on this item and we'll double the difference.
Do your list for less at the Bay.
Today we have Gilles Duceppe. He's the Bloc Québécois leader in Ottawa and elected MP out of Quebec. And he thinks that after the next referendum, Quebec will have a sovereignty or a unilateral declaration of independence or something like that. We'll go back to the phone lines now.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Let's start with Harry in Vancouver. Hi, Harry.
Good afternoon. I just had a couple of questions and a comment.
Okay.
The one question is, as I understand it, a big reason for separatism is to protect the English language. How does Mr. Duceppe expect the language to be protected in a North American language pool of close to 300 million people if he doesn't think it can be protected in 25 million people?
Right.
And secondly, I'm one of the English who goes around saying, well, yes, it's obvious they have a distinct society, they have language, religion, and whatever. But even I'm not going to be sympathetic to sharing the Canadian dollar and other things. If you guys want to go, don't expect the more redneck element of society, let alone those of us who are a little bit sympathetic, to stay sympathetic if you go ahead and split the country in half. I mean, you're asking a hell of a lot of other Canadians if you think that we're going to be nice and friendly afterwards. That's a bit of a dream, I think.
Okay, well, thank you for that. And
Well,
you meant the French language,
I met
obviously.
quite a few people. Let's say the people from the CLC in Calgary and also Mr. George at the yesterday night in Vancouver, saying that they respect our rights to make our own decision and they'll keep relations with a sovereign Quebec. I met with Gordon Wilson today, and he told me that he thinks that Quebecers have the right to decide of their own future, and that he would accept discussing the possibility of creating relations with in a new partnership with a sovereign Quebec. So I think that people are more open than some people in Ottawa think. Concerning the language question, if you look at the French communities outside Quebec, statistics were made public this week. And we've realized that in every province of Quebec, they're getting assimilated. I mean, 72% in BC, 68%
well, it also
in
reflects
Calgary.
the immigrants who are coming in.
No, but I mean, among the French. I'm talking about among the French people. They look at the French people in 1971 and now 1991 and 1996. From 1971 to 1996,
but the question's not about
they were
Canada.
assimilating.
It's if you can't protect the French language as a functional part of Canada, where the Constitution recognizes your right to speak French, how will you do in a North American
because
market?
we think when a given country has all the tool in its hands, then you're always protecting yourself better when you are doing the job.
But how does that protect your language? Everybody's then going to have to be submitting out to the rest of the world, and you'll have to deal in English. No one's going to deal with you in French.
Let's take Norway. There are 2 million people speaking Norwegian
and when they trade,
language.
what do they speak?
In English, of course. And so we're speaking. I do speaking. There's much more French politicians speaking English than the reverse.
You know what?
We agree. You know, my daughter, she's 23. She's speaking French, English, German, Spanish. My son's 18. He's speaking French, English, and Spanish.
It still doesn't. It doesn't. We don't understand the correlation with sovereignty. But I want to tell you that.
But I just wanted to show that we're not against
you're not
speaking English.
You're not Anglophobic.
And the other question was about the currency. Yeah. After 20 years of discussions, Federalists had to admit that they can't stop Quebec using the Canadian currency. Now they admitted that. I mean, it was...
Well, because any country can adopt Canadian currency if they want to. There's nothing you can do about it.
Imagine that the sovereign Quebec would say, well, we'll use the American currency. It'd be the worst thing for the Canadian currency. The current Canadian currency would then go under the 40 cents mark.
You know, all you federal politicians talk too much.
Not good for us.
With Alexa McDonough, all of you, you're so good at debating. You just blah blah blah.
But we're answering questions. It's important to answer the question. Otherwise, you'll tell me I'm not answering questions. That's why I'm answering.
Jean in Surrey has another question for you. Hi, Jean.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
How are you people?
Fine, thanks.
Fine, and you?
Oh, not too bad. I and my husband and all our families were born and brought up in Quebec, and we've constantly heard from the rest of the country, what does Quebec want?
Right.
And Mr. Duceppe, I'm afraid you have corroborated what I've been trying to tell people in the rest of the country for some time, and that is that the hardcore separatists don't want separation. What they want is what they call sovereignty association, and they're constantly, and yet they're the ones that, that are constantly refusing to have a clear question, a clear vote, and what they want is what they call sovereignty association, which means having half the power, having the same power as the rest of the country. They don't want. There's nothing in it for them to be separate. There's no money in it.
Okay, I'm going to let him answer that.
And I've been in Quebec City many times fighting the separatists.
Okay, I'm going to let him answer that, Jean, then.
Okay.
Sovereignty Association.
So yes, it is a new form of relations between sovereign states. Look at what happened in Europe with the
Why
common
do you need
market.
to be sovereign to do that, though? I mean, why can't you just ask for a new partnership?
Why is that good for Canadians to have a sovereign state? Why
Because
don't you
some
join,
of us, you know what, some of us care about Quebec.
Why don't you join the United States if sovereignty is not that much
No,
important?
I'm saying that why
if
is
it's
it so
important for Canadians.
But you're a Canadian too.
You'll admit it could be important for Quebecers also.
And I think that we would welcome a lot of us. You know what, Gilles Duceppe, a lot of us want you to stay a Canadian, and we want all of you to stay
a lot of you would like to sign a partnership deal with me. Well, the thing I'm saying is that if
not if you're not a Canadian.
Is a certainty for me, you have to admit it is a possibility. And when you're in politics, you have to be responsible. Being responsible means that you have to study that possibility. Like we did in Quebec.
We are studying it in BC. That's what the Unity paper is all about. And we're overdue for a break. And we'll have to keep this now. We have to first show you, if you would like to correspond with Monsieur Duceppe directly, this is how you can contact him. The Office of the Leader of the Bloc Québécois. And Sophie Roux is the press officer, and you can phone 613-947-2495. They have an internet site as well, www.blocquebecois.gc.ca. And we'll be back after a quick break.
Now you don't have to clean your dishes twice. Introducing new Electrosol automatic dishwasher tabs. It's a perfectly measured 2-layered tablet that dissolves completely. The blue layer breaks up stuck-on foods. The white layer gently scrubs your dishes till they shine, giving you dishes that look like this the first time. New Electrosol tabs, the next dimension of clean.
I don't know. This seems very unorthodox. Look, he's looking forward to a good breakfast.
At this special time of year, we wish you and your family the very best.
Say his hair was cut short?
Yes, half an inch.
His nose, was it more Roman or Grecian?
Actually, it was turned up, and it definitely been broken.
And his eyes?
Jade green, wide apart, and the look.
I got it. Mr. Jung, is this the man that robbed you?
Sarkwai, you're not an artist. You can't draw.
What?
Well, next time, think yellow first.
Scratch and save. 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 Scratch and save.
Today, tomorrow, and Sunday at the Bay, scratch and save 10 to 50% on a great selection of items throughout the store. Don't miss the Bay's 3-day scratch and save on today, tomorrow, and Sunday.
Scratch and scratch. Scratch and save. Scratch and scratch. Scratch and save.
Our question of the day today, the leader of the separatist Bloc Québécois, Gilles Duceppe, is visiting British Columbia. What message would you like to give him? And here's what people said when we asked them.
Please don't make that country split in half, Quebec versus the rest of Canada. You gotta love that country. I don't know why they want to separate. I'm myself from Quebec. I moved 12 years ago, and I love that country. I don't know how economically they can survive without the rest of Canada. I think it's foolish.
I think that we're all Canadians and we should stay Canadian, and we're all the same, I hope.
Don't separate. I'm from Quebec. Listen, I like this country. We should keep it all together.
I can't say that in public. I think if Quebec wants to separate, they should let them separate. I think the rest of us should have an opinion vote on that, and we should be able to vote and vote them out.
So your message to Gilles Duceppe would be?
Take Quebec. Go ahead. I mean, if they're that strong that they don't want to be part of the rest of Canada, then move on. Move on. And I have a sister there, you know, so if she's going to require a passport to come and visit me and I'm going to require one to go visit her, well, so be it.
More later. And we're talking to Gilles Duceppe right now, and I wanted to let you know the director has said that what Quebec wants is they want a divorce with full bedroom privileges.
No, we want to be good neighbors. You know, there's
good neighbors. You want more than that. You want a continued partnership with financial ties.
No,
and,
no. We want a real partnership.
You don't want Canadian medical?
We have our own Canadian. We have the Quebec medical.
Yeah,
we have our own regime.
And so you won't want to share a lot of the privileges of being Canadian once you're separate?
Like what?
Well, all the things that you enjoy right now. For example, are you going to pay your portion of the debt? Are you going to?
Oh yes. We've made it very clear. We said it'd be 18.5%. Some of the Kenyan experts said, well, it should be 25. So we'll negotiate. I'm telling you one thing. It'd be between 25 and 18.5.
Okay.
That'd be part of the negotiation.
Let's see what else the viewers have in store for you. You guys don't have to be that nice to them, you know. And we'll start with Mike in Delta. Go ahead, Mike.
Hello, Mr. Duceppe.
Hello.
I'm a veteran from the last war, 5.5-year veteran. I fought alongside the famous, the beautiful soldiers that died, some of them from the Royal Vendus. And it's a disgrace that you and Bouchard and all these separatists that are trying to separate these countries, they died for this country. They didn't die for Quebec. They died for Canada.
Right.
And you and Bouchard disgraced them, totally disgraced your own people. And they were Canadians. They didn't die as Quebecers. They died as Canadians. And you and Bouchard tried to break up this country. I, for one, have a sister living in Montreal, and I love that country. I do. I think it's fine people over there. Only for people like you, Bouchard, who are a bunch of donkeys trying to separate this country. If you were in Europe, you're talking about Europe. If you were trying to do this in Europe, you know what you and Bouchard would do? You'd be locked up in jail for treason.
Okay,
to this country.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that. And I think we have to really respect what he was saying.
I'll tell you two things. First, my father-in-law was a veteran also, and he was a sovereigntist. And each year, I know many of the veterans who are sovereigntists.
But that's not what he was saying. He was saying, what do you do to the memory of those who died for Canada?
Exactly. The Quebecers also.
Who were not sovereigntists.
They died for liberty. And I know a lot of them who are sovereigntists. And I'll tell you something. Each year, I'm speaking at the Canadian Legion, November the 11th. They know I'm a sovereigntist. And I gave my speech each year, and I'm an honorary member of the Canadian Legion. And they know I'm a sovereigntist, and there's a majority among them are sovereigntists in Quebec in that particular
So
Canadian
you don't have
region.
a problem with that aspect of it?
Absolutely not, because a lot of Quebecers also gave their life.
But some people
and that doesn't
say,
stop them of...
some people say that sovereignty is a political agenda and that the people of Quebec just want social solutions. They don't want the political stuff.
I mean, we've been discussing that. You don't know enough people of Quebec. I mean, we've been discussing that.
I spent some time in Quebec.
Yeah,
no, I'm not the expert. You are, perhaps.
Not only the expert. It's not a question of being an expert or not. I'm telling you, I know what the people in Quebec think. I know that a very important portion of the people in Quebec deeply believe that we are a people and we should have our own country, and then make a new deal with the rest of Canada.
Let's talk to James now in Cobble Hill. Hi, James.
Oh, hi. Thanks very much for having me on there.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
I'm very pleased to be able to meet Mr. Duceppe. I admire him greatly. And as far as being a veteran of the Second World War, I spent 6 years in World War II and a year in Korea. And I'm not tall like the same thought as the other one. But I think Mr. Duceppe answered one of my questions that I was going to ask him, and that is almost the entire sovereignty thing is about the French language. That's what in my own opinion, I think. I'd like to ask him how he would feel if he was a Western. I was born in Western Canada.
Right.
How he'd feel if the last 30 years were governed entirely from Quebec.
Right.
Governed by a bunch of people, obviously, that disagrees with him.
Right.
But has changed my country, so I no longer have a country.
Right.
I have a different national anthem. In fact, we have two national anthems, one with a French language version, one with an English language version.
Right.
They've changed the Constitution. We had a very good Constitution in the BNA Act. And they've changed all these things which were done by Quebecers.
Okay.
And during that time, I feel I've had no say in government whatsoever.
Okay, I have to ask him to answer that, or we won't have time.
Obviously, those people coming from Quebec or not and are not sovereigntists, you know that as
no,
well as
I think
me.
what he's saying is, if you were a Western Canadian, you would look over at Quebec and say, "Wait a minute, Prime Minister's from Quebec, the senior cabinet are from Quebec. You get so many more advantages than we do."
That frustration, but it is certainly not the sovereignist's fault if this happened and still happening. I mean. The majority of the Liberal members elected Jean Chrétien. That's their choice. They elected Brian Mulroney for the Tories. That's their choice. They elected Jean Charest. That's their choice. Not a single sovereigntist among those members. So maybe we'll solve the question when we'll be a sovereign country. You won't have what you called a problem. But this is, I would say, democracy. It is your right. It is the right of Quebecers to run, no taxation without representation. It's the right of the Liberal Party's member to elect who they want as a leader. As a leader, it's not. I didn't vote at our last Congress. You know that.
All right, let's talk to Arnie in Richmond. Hi, Arnie.
Hello, Judy and Mr. Duceppe.
Hello.
First of all, I'd like to say Canadians are a people also.
Yes, I believe that.
And then you're part of that people too.
Yeah. Mr. Duceppe, why, in your opinion, does the Prime Minister of Canada not exercise the Constitution of the country's amending formula, seeking the people of Canada's authority by referendum to make the country indivisible, thus requiring, let's say, a member of the Federation obtaining an 85% vote on a provincial succession referendum to enable force of law to the referendum?
Okay, I'm going to. What he's saying is, why doesn't he make it illegal for you to?
I don't know. You should ask Jean Chrétien. You know that we didn't sign last Constitution, the one patrioted back in 1982. Not only the sovereigntists, but also federalist government in Quebec. Daniel Johnson, Claude Ryan, Robert Bourassa refused to sign that Constitution. Imagine a Constitution being patrioted without the approval of BC. People would be mad like hell. That's what happened in Quebec.
Well, they're mad anyway out here, and they signed on anyway.
But if Mr. Chrétien doesn't want to have such an amendment, it's certainly because he feels that it'd be
maybe be too politically
the worst strategy for him to keep people from Quebec within Canada.
Okay, I have to ask you. You agreed with him that Canadians are people.
Of course,
but you are Canadian.
I feel like being a Quebecer. I want to become a Quebecer. I'm a Quebecer.
But you are Canadian.
Officially,
so you think that you are not part of the people?
But
that
I mean,
I
never said that it's no good to be Canadian. I just said
but I'm just saying.
I feel like a Quebecer, I am a Quebecer, and I want to be officially a Quebecer with my own country.
Okay, you are now officially a Quebecer, and your country is Canada. And we have to take a break. We'll be right back.
With 42 improvements from bumper to bumper, it's hard to go unnoticed in a Neon. Neon, much more for only $288 a month, no money down.
Yeah.
Hey! 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 Hello!
You'll find Neon's wide open spaces are something to shout about. Neon, more room inside for $288 a month, no money down.
Wow. Wow.
I'm never at home. Why would I leave my phone there?
What do you get with Amigo Digital? Every month you get 100 anytime minutes and 100 first incoming minutes free.
Yeah, I'm free. Free.
You get call display.
Staying in touch doesn't mean staying in.
And oh yeah, there's no long-term contract.
I call the shots.
And you get it all for just $19.95 a month. Amigo Digital. It goes with you.
Fidalgo's is your accessory and home decorating store for all seasons. And now, with the holidays just around the corner, Fidalgo's has the most spectacular selection of decor and accent pieces for every room in your home. For yourself or for a gift, and whatever the season, you'll find that perfect item at Fidalgo's. Fidalgo's very distinctive accents. Fidalgo's in Coquitlam in the Sunwood Square on the Lougheed Highway, in Peninsula Village on 24th Avenue in White Rock, and in Park Royal South, West Vancouver.
Scratch and save. 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 Scratch and save.
Today, tomorrow, and Sunday at the Bay, scratch and save 10 to 50% on a great selection of items throughout the store. Don't miss the Bay's 3-day scratch and save on today, tomorrow, and Sunday.
Scratch, 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 save. Scratch, 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 save.
And we're going to show you some more comments from people we met with our camera. And the question of the day, the leader of the separatist Bloc Québécois, Gilles Duceppe, is visiting British Columbia. What message would you like to give him? Here are some of your comments.
Oh, I just want our country to stay together, and if he's coming out trying to talk separatism, then I'm not for that. I'm more for a 10-province Canada.
Do you have a message for Gilles Duceppe?
Well, just keep Canada as Canada.
The message that I have for him would be that I hope we can engage in constructive collective dialogue about how we want Canada to be. I hope that we have the courage and the dignity and honor of listening to him, and I hope that he will listen to us. I think that constructive things can happen when we speak together about the things that are bothering us. So for all of us, the message would be, let's listen with our hearts open.
Okay, well that's a different way to
Very
put
good
it.
attitude.
I have to ask you two questions, and you have to give me short answers so we
I'll
can
try
answer.
to.
Okay, why did you, the Bloc Québécois, vote against the legislating the postal workers back to work?
Because I think the right to strike is the right to strike, and we told the government they made an error last August when they telling the Post Canada that they will come with a special legislation. So it was telling them not to negotiate.
By telling management they would legislate them back to work, they gave them bad faith or something. Okay, now do you take your job seriously as an opposition leader on national issues?
Yes, yes. And when you look at, I've got those statistics. We're the official opposition who supported the government most oftenly during the time we were the official opposition, 43% of the time. It means for us that we're not opposing just for the pleasure of opposing. We're considering each legislation and each measures at its own value.
Okay,
if it's good, we vote yes. If it's not, we vote no.
I have to ask you about the case right now about dividing Quebec, Ungava, the Cree lands, all of that. If Canada is divisible, is Quebec divisible? What about that?
No, because Quebec territory is protected under the Canadian Constitution. And once we've made a decision of being a sovereign country, then we go on to international law.
But then you're trying to get it both ways, because the Canadian Constitution doesn't allow you to declare yourself sovereign.
It's mute on that. Mute.
Well, it doesn't have an allowance.
And when you're telling that
you've got all your answers ready,
we have to go back to 1912 when we obtained Rupert Land. Don't forget, at that time, Labrador was part of Quebec. So we have to live with the frontiers we're having now.
I see a lot of lawyers making a lot of money on this. Okay, let's talk to Orville.
That's why we have to take a political decisions.
Orville in Port Alberni, it's your turn.
Yeah, Mr. Duceppe, I agree with you 100%. You're on the right track. Okay. And please don't give up. If there was anything I could personally do to help you, I sure would.
Well,
Thank you very much.
Well, that
you
is very interesting.
Yes, I mean, I've met people here saying that most of them saying that we don't agree. Right. But we have to speak with you. We have to consider what you're fighting for, what your ideas are.
People do want to understand.
That's why I'm here.
We really do.
And we'll take time to discuss.
Yeah, I know that when we did our Constitution series, that was a common question. Let's talk to Karen in Victoria. Hi, Karen.
Hi.
Hi, go ahead.
Hello.
What I'd like to ask is, do you intend to set up your own borders, create your own currency, and who do you think in the world market is going to trade with you?
Okay. I think those are.
Well, the first one, we have the borders we have, and we keep the same borders.
The ones that Canada gave you.
Not Canada. I mean, the one we have. We entered Canada in 1867 with borders.
You don't want to acknowledge that Canada's done any good for Quebec.
I'm not. I never said that Canada was a bad place. It was a. No. I mean, it's not heaven. I think it's a great country. I respect that country, I respect those people, I just want mine.
It's your country
My
now.
second question, the currency, I've explained that before. I think the best solution, both for Canada and for Quebec, is to use the same currency. And third, who's going to trade with us? I mean, look at the United States. They know the Quebecers are free traders. We're the one who supported free trade and NAFTA, because the Liberal Party was against, the rest of Canada was against. It's up to Canada, Quebec, if we have that deal. And consider that United States...
You're going to have to make all of those arguments all over again if
and
you
you
try
too,
to
I mean, we'll be together.
not us two.
And
People will still recognize us as a country.
The trade between the United States and Quebec is 3 times the trade between
You know, you
United
won't even
States,
have a Pacific
Brazil,
port. You won't even have a proper port.
I mean, there's a lot of countries without any Pacific.
You will be so
port.
isolated. Anyway, I don't even think you're right. So let's
We
talk
won't
to
be
Bill.
isolated. We'll have Canada on both sides.
Bill in New Westminster, it's your turn. You will be. Bill, go ahead. Yeah.
Hello, I'd like to welcome Mr. Duceppe to British Columbia. I agree with you 100%, and I certainly wish you well in your struggles to come up with an independent Quebec. I have to admit, I did not always agree with that position. When I first was growing up as a teenager in British Columbia, the FLQ was on the scene. I think we saw one view. We didn't want the country to break up. We didn't understand Quebec, at least I didn't. What I see in Quebec now are a passionate people who are wholly committed to what obviously is a distinct culture, a distinct society, a distinct way of life. I wish them well in undertaking this great venture. And as for borders, I think that the borders they entered with in 1867 should be left unaltered. And as for an independent country of Quebec making its way in the future, why not a free trade association with France, other French-speaking countries? Don't forget Mr. Diefenbaker back in the mid-1950s all but signed on the dotted line a free trade agreement with Great Britain.
Okay.
It was just at the last minute, of course, they pulled out.
Okay, I'm sorry, I have to cut you off there because we almost need time break. I can't believe people are phoning in agreeing with you. I have to say I'm surprised.
It's because we're discussing rationally, respecting each other, even if it's a very emotional discussions, but we're respecting each other.
Well, I always feel that everybody has the right to express their opinion. But
to do that.
Now, what happens if you found out, if you, as a leader for your people, found out that the talk of sovereignty was causing pain to them financially? Would you put it aside and pursue other things?
Well, I don't think it's causing
No, but
pain
if you found
financially.
out that, if someone could come to you and say, look what is happening, look at the suffering and the economic hardship.
I'll explain that with our solutions. We'll solve that problem. We'll be better placed
So
to
you're not
come
even
to a
prepared to
better
believe that it would be a
situation.
problem?
It's not. It's a question of having made those analysis. We come to that solution. We came to that solution.
Okay, we have to take a break.
It's a good solution.
Well, okay, we're gonna. Not that I agree by saying okay or okie
I
dokie, as you
understand that.
said.
I understand.
Yeah, we're gonna take a break. We'll be right back.
Eaton's weekend sale with deals galore. Want to know more?
This Friday to Sunday, pay no GST or PST on almost everything store-wide. That's on top of the great stuff already on sale.
And me, Mr. Magical Moves. Only $9.93.
What do you love to watch on TV?
For me, it's sports.
Everyone has their favorites.
So into history.
Now Rogers gives you more with 16 new channels in one great new package. More of what you want when you want it. Call it selfish. Call it instant gratification.
For me, it's comedy.
Call it MeTV. Order now and you can get MeTV for as little as $5.99 a month. Call 1-888-ROGERS-1 to order.
The Grime Zones. They're tough. They're all over the house, and they're about to meet their match. Introducing new Stronger Mr. Clean, now with even more muscle for tough grime, like stovetop grease, mudroom muck, and kids being kids dirt. It all shines clean, because new Mr. Clean muscles under to lift off dirt faster, better than the leading pine cleaner. Mr. Clean takes the tough out of grime zones. Everywhere, new Mr. Clean shines through, even better than before.
If you've ever tried Secret Antiperspirant, you know there's something working. It's dryness. And now there's a completely new secret that goes on invisibly. New Secret Sheer Dry. It's the dryness protection I want, that's strong enough for him, but made for me. And it glides on clear. For sheer protection, give me strength. Give me new Secret Sheer Dry. Strong enough for a man. But it's clearly for you.
Eaton's weekend sale with deals galore. Want to know more?
This Friday to Sunday, pay no GST or PST on almost everything store-wide. That's on top of the great stuff already on sale.
And me, Mr. Magical Moose. Only $9.93.
Coming up in the next few shows, Paul Hellyer joins us to talk about the MAI, and then we'll be looking at the BC Ferries issue next week, and we do an update on the hepatitis C campaign, and we'll talk about UNICEF and the International Children's Day of Broadcasting next Friday. And you mentioned something about hepatitis C and the compensation.
Yeah, the government of Quebec accepted to compensate the victims of hepatitis C.
People who had been part of the tainted blood situation?
Yes. That was a decision made this week. The first government to take such a decision in Canada.
Yeah.
It seems that in Ottawa, I've read that this morning, that there was a debate among the ministers, some of them opposed to do the same thing that Quebec did.
Oh, we've got to do that
But we
here
won't
too.
change our mind on that. I mean, Mr. Bouchard and Rochon were very clear on that.
Okay, well, we'll have to look at that for our show. Let's talk to Erin in Victoria. Hi, Erin. Yeah, go ahead, Erin.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm a 21-year-old university student at the University of Victoria, and I'm just wondering, have you looked to my generation? Like, my generation is the future of this country. And I don't know, I've traveled all around the world, and what I'm most proud about of Canada is that it's a multicultural country. It's a mosaic, and that's what makes it important.
Right, and I think that's good. And a lot of people are very proud.
But you'll
that we
see,
have
I've got
French
children of that age. I'm 50. I've got a daughter. She's 23. She finished university. She's in cinema.
Where did she go to university?
Duceppe, University du Québec in Montreal. And my son is in journalism in Jonquière. He's 18 years old. And if I'm doing the fight I'm doing now, if I'm fighting for that cause, it's because I don't want my children to live the same kind of life I did.
But look at you. You've had a hard life. Come on.
Yes, but I want them not to discuss for their whole life long those constitutional matters. I want them to discuss environment, economy, education, culture.
You have every choice to discuss that now. You don't have to talk sovereignty. You could talk about those issues too.
Why do you think you have a program discussing that today?
Yeah, right.
Because it's a problem.
Yeah, because you guys are making it a problem. Let's talk to Ron in Coquitlam. Hi, Ron. Are you there? Okay, let's talk to Nick in Surrey. Hi, Nick. Go ahead.
Yes.
Yeah, it's your turn.
I'd just like to make a comment to the people of British Columbia, because talking to Gilles Duceppe is a waste of time. I think that the entire situation that the separatists in Quebec have done has been nothing but a big lie. The reason for their separation movement is based upon revenge, resentment. They hate English people. They have on their license plates, Je me souviens. Je me souviens quoi, Gilles? It's Je me souviens that you don't want to have anything more to do with English. And that is your whole basis of your bloody movement. So why don't you just be honest a little bit to the people of British Columbia and tell us that the reason why that you don't want to have anything to do with Canada is the basis of your plain day Baraham defeat, and you never could accept it. Is that not true?
Okay.
Well, I think I'm not sure about that. I think by your accent, you're coming from Quebec, and you're French coming from Quebec. I'll tell you. You know, my mother's name Ellen Rowley. My grandfather was named John James Rowley, born in Soho, London, Great Britain. So I'm not. I mean, I'm half and half. Half and half.
You're
so,
half and half.
Being against the English, I mean, you got the wrong guy. I think it's not that question.
I think some people do think that there are a lot of
people
who
but it's
hate
an error. I mean, I don't hate my mother.
No, well,
May I tell you that?
Oh yeah, you can tell me that if you want. Yeah, let's talk to James in Surrey. Hi, James.
Hi, I just have a couple comments.
Okay.
First of all, I can't really blame Quebec for wanting to leave. They're the only region of Canada with a distinct character and a history, and they want to leave at perhaps even a possible peril to themselves, which you have to respect them for that. And also, I haven't heard anyone comment on Parizeau's comments, which I don't really understand how they're considered racist. He didn't say the Greeks are fiery tempered or the Jews are thrifty. He simply said that they caused them to lose the vote. And I can understand the frustration of non-Quebecers or those not sympathetic to the Quebecer cause voting on an issue that is fundamentally Quebecer. and overwhelmingly supported by traditional Quebecers.
Okay.
And also, Ms. Tyabji, why do you insist on referring to Duceppe as Canadian when
he is
when he's
Canadian.
a Quebecer?
He's
When he's a
Canadian.
Quebecer and obviously regards himself as such.
Well, I'm a British Columbian, and I'm Canadian, and you have a Canadian passport, and he's elected in the House of Commons, for goodness sake.
As a
Let's not lose... Oh, come on. And our
But,
reformist, John Reynolds, is a BCer.
Okay,
Come on.
on Mr. Perez's comments, I think that it's one thing to make an analysis of the results. Every party is doing that. I did the same thing that night. I was a commentator on CTV with Roy Romano that night and Jean Lapierre. And I said, well, in certain riding, there's a very monolithic vote, 96% voting the same way. I mean, it was not offensive to say that.
Right. But those people
But
who...
then saying that it's because of that communities or that community that we lost, this is an error. But this is also an error when I've heard some people in Toronto, the Canadian Ethnic Cultural Association, something like that, saying that Canadians should thank the ethnic in Quebec because they save Canada. I think this is an error also.
Well, it works both ways, I guess.
That's it.
If we're going to be mad about Parizeau, we have to be mad at the other.
They're responsible for the defeat or a victory.
We're basically out of time. I can't believe this. Now,
I'll come back.
You're going to come back to BC, are you? Okay, now, what is it you wanted to accomplish?
Well, I think in 4 days, I'm pretty satisfied, having discussed openly with open-minded people. Today, I think maybe the most popular politician in BC said that he accepts that it is a possibility. He's open to discuss that with us. He respects the right of Quebecers to decide of their own future. I think he's a man of courage, and I've met a man of courage today. It's important for me, and we'll keep that dialogue with open-minded people. Certain to the left, I met with people from the CLC. I met with students at Calgary University. I've met with the Francophone this morning.
So you think you've accomplished what you wanted to?
Business people.
You're opening a dialogue.
I think we're opening a real dialogue
Well,
now.
we want to talk to you again. Okay.
Me too.
Okay.
It was a pleasure.
Yes, it was fun. Now we are going to let you know how you can contact us. If you want to write to us, it's Tyabji, 780 Kings Road, Victoria, BC, V8T 5A2. You can fax us at 250-389-1226. Email is tyabji@wic.ca, and our internet website, which has real audio of this show, www.checktv.com. And we'll be right back after a quick break.
Eaton's has great holiday deals every week. Want to take a peek? A 25-inch Daewoo stereo TV is $40 off, you see. And only at Eaton's, strike up the band. There's a 27-inch Panasonic TV and stand. Put this sharp view cam under your tree, and a 4-head VCR is yours for free. Plus, this'll make you feel fine. You don't pay till $19.99. And there's me, Mr. Magical Moose. Only $9.93.
Imagine great hold that feels healthy. Introducing new Pantene hairspray with Elastesse, a new flexible holding ingredient. Unlike some hairsprays that can be sticky, this new Pantene holds without all that stickiness. Try this new Pantene hairspray with Elastesse.
When you need to stop a cough, get fast-acting, long-lasting relief with Vicks Formula 44. One dose coats your cough-irritated throat to start soothing in 5 minutes and can last through the night. For fast-acting, long-lasting relief, get Vicks Formula 44.
Old Spice. It's all in how you use it.
Hi.
Hi. Oh, that's a new addition to the family.
Oh, just beautiful. It's got ABS brakes, easier access than ever, side door impact beams, 40 standard safety features, and it's got a 5-star rating and front-end crash test.
And right now, Windstar comes with an all-star deal with our new 98 model at only $249 a month, but only at your BC Ford and Mercury dealer and only for a limited time.
And how about that gorgeous little baby?
He likes it too.
At the recent APEC conference in Vancouver, many people were concerned that corporate interests were eroding some of our democratic rights. Well, the multilateral agreement on investment has been controversial for the same reason. We'll be revisiting that subject with Paul Hellier on Monday. It seems kind of ironic to me that at the same time that we're looking at global trade, things like APEC and the MAI on Monday, that we're also talking about the possibility that one of our provinces could be looking at becoming a smaller country. In fact, a smaller trade bloc. And yes, they support free trade. But then would we all have to renegotiate all these international agreements? It sounds like a lot of hot air. However, when it comes to a province's right to determine some of the things that are in their own backyard, as many of you know, it's something I feel very strongly about. I think there's a lot of common ground with British Columbia and Quebec. What I would hope is we can put the issue of sovereignty aside, focus on the issues like the social issues, healthcare, poverty, and work on those in fighting the federal government together. We may have a lot more impact. I'm Judy Tyabji. That's my opinion. Have a great weekend.